thank you very much for turning up. Tonight's webinar is from file share to document libraries with Jasper Oosterveld. I've been practicing that. And as it says at the top of the screen, this webinar will be recorded and made available afterwards. By all means during the webinar, please ask questions. I will be fielding the questions and ask the questions at the end for Jasper to answer. Just a big shout out to MetaViz because they let us use their facilities. So thank you very much. Check out their products. They have great, and interestingly enough, of course it ties in with the webinar as well. So they have great migration products. Particularly check out the personal edition, which is very cheap and very powerful, well priced. A bit about me, SharePoint Server MVP, get me on Twitter, email me, there's a picture of me, horrible, it is. My blog, check that out, and without further ado, I'll hand over to the main man, Jasper, so please bear with me a second. Okay, Jasper, you are presenter.
Okay. I think, can you see my screen?
Absolutely perfect.
Great. Okay. Well, let me do it like this. Okay, thanks, Dave. I appreciate it. Second time for me. I really enjoyed the first time. I have to admit, it was kind of weird in the beginning because you're just talking against your computer screen. So if somebody's looking from you from outside the neighborhood, they're probably thinking like, what is that guy doing? He's just talking at the screen. But it's nice. I like to do it, so here I'm back again. Different subject though. Tonight I'm going to talk about the subject from file shares to document libraries. I actually got inspiration for this session by an assignment I did from last September until June. I worked for a large asset manager in Holland, and I supported the intranet team. The team was responsible for the SharePoint Online intranet portal. And we provided team sites for departments or teams within departments, and a large part of that was actually showing people document libraries for the very first time to people who are actually used to work with file shares and folders for many, many years. Very interesting. Learned a lot, of course. A lot of people know the theory about SharePoint document management, but actually using it in the real world works kind of differently sometimes. It doesn't always work the way you think it does. And what you find easy to use doesn't other people necessarily need to find it easy to use. So yeah, so I want to combine some of my knowledge and some of the experience I got through that assignment in this webinar for today. So let's start. I want to talk about a couple of subjects tonight. First, I always like to do a short introduction about myself. Who I am personally, and about my work and the stuff I do for the SharePoint community. Then I want to share my vision why I think end users who haven't worked with SharePoint yet are so fond of file shares and the folders. Then I want to show you how you can work with documents in SharePoint. It's going to be a lot of demos, so don't worry, it's not only going to be slides. And of course, there's a little bit more. SharePoint is a great platform, so I'll also talk a little bit about that, what other advantages it has, looking at working with documents and structuring documents. And if we have some time left, I hope so, I'm going to talk a little bit more about that assignment I had, so a couple of stories from the field. So it probably would take me 10 minutes about that, so hopefully we have like 15 minutes at the end for questions. So Dave, if I'm kind of short of time, just interrupt me, and then we make sure there's some time left for questions.
Don't you worry, so I'll interrupt you.
Okay, good. So I think Dave mentioned it. Just you can shoot in questions, and we'll gather them and do them at the end. Worked well last time, so let's do that. So let's start. Now, so who am I? Well, you see my name up there. Dave did a well pronunciation of my last name. I'm actually married for a little bit over 2 years now with an American wife called Katie. We met each other during backpacking. It's actually a good story. Well, we have a very cute little dog. And we live in a great city. I know it's not a very manly dog. You probably recognize it. It's a proper English dog.
King Charles Spaniel.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, very fancy. That's a great dog. And we live in Amsterdam, great city. If you haven't been before, you should really go. It's like walking in an open-air museum. And we also have some good news. We're actually expecting our first baby in November. So exciting, also a little bit terrifying, I have to be honest. But
Congratulations.
Yep. Yeah, thank you, Dave.
That's right.
You have a couple more months to prepare, so.
I'll tell you all about it in January.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll give you a short update.
Okay.
Work. Well, I actually changed jobs in the 1st of June. Do miss a couple of my coworkers, but I don't regret moving. I have a great new team, great new people to work with, great assignments, big clients, so I'm pretty happy. It's a good switch. I still work as SharePoint consultant, so I support customers implementing SharePoint, doing end-user trainings, talk about adoption, governance, and also configure and implement the out-of-the-box features. Well, I've co-founded a Dutch site called SharePoint Community Netherlands. You can kind of compare it with nothing but SharePoint, but then written in Dutch. So it's articles about maybe SharePoint Online or branding topics. That's cool. It's going well. It's almost 2 years in November. I believe in March we co-founded, I co-founded with a couple other people, the SharePoint Business User Group Netherlands. Well, we focus at the business and end users, no surprise there, and then topics such as document management, such as this webinar, or governance, user adoption. And we're pretty active on Jammer. Had our first user group meeting in, I believe it was June. We're trying to get another one done in October, so it's pretty fun. Well, I also speak a lot, of course. I'm doing this webinar, talk at different SharePoint Saturdays, went to Oslo, Belgium, did one in the Netherlands. I'm also excited to be speaking again at SharePoint Connections in Amsterdam this November. And in January, I'm doing my first workshop at a conference called the European Office 365 Connect 2014. It's the very first conference fully focused as Office 365. Dave is also going to be speaking there, so hope to see you there. It's in a cute little town called Haarlem, so cannot miss it. So I think the organization is happy with me. There's some good promotion there. I wrote an analysis about a survey the European SharePoint Conference held this year. You can find a link to it on my blog. It's a good read. And last but not least, before I'm done promoting myself, I also co-author for a SharePoint 2013 handbook called the SharePoint 2013 Handbook, an insight by the SharePoint community. I wrote 3 chapters. It's fun to do. I try to do it once a year. It's a good book. It's affordable, so go check it out on Amazon. Okay, let's start. This is not going to be a 45-minute or an hour rant against file shares and folders because I do think they serve a purpose. One purpose is you store databases and file shares. I don't think you should store a database in SharePoint. It's kind of weird because the content of SharePoint is stored in a database, so would you store a database in a database? I don't think so. Secondly, large video files. Although SharePoint 2013 had some good improvements working with video files, I'm not sure if you want to store 3 GB or 4 GB HD files within your SharePoint portal though. I'm not sure if you're DB administratively too happy about it. I'm guessing it also will impact the search indexing process. And last but not least, we have a file share to also store blob files. So why are end users so fond of file shares and particularly the folders? I think mostly it's because it's such a familiar interface. Most people have been working with it for many, many years. Although SharePoint has been around since 2007, it gets introduced. It's not been introduced within the whole world immediately. It takes time. So some people have been working with folders maybe since the 90s. Don't know any better. It works for them. It's easy because if you work somewhere for a long time, you know where to find your files. You just browse through the folder structure, double-click the document, and open it. And it's also pretty easy to use. Let's be honest. You go to a folder, you right-click, you say new document, and you're done. You don't have to deal with versioning or creating columns or changing views, although that's pretty great. This is, let's be honest, a bit easier for end users. So I think these are the two reasons end users really love their folders and their file shares. Well, I don't agree working with documents. I don't think file shares are the way to go. Firstly, because of versioning. I see this a lot actually. Let's say, for example, a team is writing a proposal. What happens is somebody writes a proposal document, calls it 0.1 with an extension at the end. Well, and this goes on until you have 1.9 and you have like 19 documents in there. Other people, some people download the document, start editing it there, send it through email to somewhere else. And what happens in the end is, first of all, you have these 20 documents there. Nobody knows what is the latest version because maybe somebody else is working on it locally. Well, this works a lot better in SharePoint because you just have the one file where you apply your versioning in. So it's a lot easier, and you have your column where you can see the version number. Well, secondly, custom metadata doesn't really exist with file shares and folders. The way to use metadata is by creating folders. Office, of course, comes with its own metadata. So if you have a Word document, you can see who's the author. I believe you'll see the subject, file size. So that is the metadata you have, but you're not really flexible in creating your own. Well, this is where SharePoint, of course, works pretty well, and that's also what I'm going to show you in the demo a little bit later on. Thirdly, offline access. Well, if your files are stored in your file share, there's a hitch, or I said it like there's something wrong with network connection. You have no more access to your files. And this is also the reason a lot of people work offline. I mean, they take their documents and just put it on their desktop and start working on it there. Well, this works better with SharePoint in general because especially nowadays you have the SkyDev Pro client, so you can synchronize with your Windows Explorer, and even if the network goes down, at least you have your files there. Sorry, I took a sip of my glass of water. Custom permissions. Again, you can do this with file shares. It's not a problem at all. But it's very confusing for end users. I also believe you need to have at least administrative permissions. It's not a great system. Just try to check it out for yourself and then imagine yourself explaining that to end users. Well, again, this works a lot better, especially in SharePoint 2010, not so much, but in 2013, especially with the share option, this works perfectly. You click on a document, you open up the callout menu, you click on share, type in somebody's name, and you say if the user can read or edit the document. And you can even leave a little message if you want, and you click on share and the document has been shared. This works perfectly and a lot easier for end users. This is also a really interesting and funny one, I think, like the deleted documents issue. I think this must be the IT service that's most annoyingly calls they get. And there are always these users who accidentally delete a Word document or a PDF, doesn't really matter, and they're like, oh boy, I shouldn't have done that. And what happens is they have to call their service desk. Oh, and I don't think they're too pleased with users calling in all the time. They've deleted the document, especially if it's been like 2 weeks ago and they have to go through the backup tapes. Again, this is where SharePoint works perfectly. You have the recycle bin. The first stage recycle bin. You accidentally delete a document. I think by default these documents are stored there for 30 days, maybe even longer if your SharePoint administrator was that kind to raise the time period it's available there. And even after that 30 days, it's often available in a second recycle bin, so SharePoint site collection administrators should be able to restore the documents. And last but not least, the folder structures are fine for people who have been working with it for a long time. But if somebody's new within the company, they're not going to be able to find anything, especially when file shares has been there for many, many years. Like it's going to be a deep nested folder structure. It's going to be tough for people to know their way there. It takes a lot of time. Well, again, this webinar is also meant to show you the options of SharePoint, some best practices, how you can also avoid this situation for new users. Well, here I think SharePoint comes to the rescue. First of all, you have there are 4 ways to structure content. Yeah, folders, I know. Again, they can serve a purpose. Let me rephrase that. Then we have the custom metadata and views. Oh, sorry, wrong. Here we go. Yep. We have the manage metadata option. And we have document sets, and I'm going to explain each of these in the slides and in demos. So folders in SharePoint. Well, again, it can serve its purpose, maybe for archiving. Well, let's say you have to move a lot of documents from a file share to SharePoint. Maybe the file share has to be turned off, or maybe for some other reasons. And you know these files are just more for archiving. You're not working with it on a daily basis. You can just create a document library and copy and paste your documents there and just maybe look at it once a year. You can even use a search to find some documents. But so long as you're not using it on a daily basis or collaborating with teams or within your team, this should be fine. Yeah, come on. Yeah, there we go. Now then, of course, we have the explore a view option. This, especially with folders, this works great because you get the old situation. You get the file share view with your whole folder structure. So if you decide to use folders, explore view works perfectly. It's easy to copy files and put them in other folders, or even move folders from another Explorer window into the document library. Then migration purposes, and this kind of connects with the first one. Maybe you're in a rush. There's some file shares that have to be turned off. You can decide just to migrate all your content with all the folder structure from the file share towards SharePoint. Be careful though, because let's say you do this with 1,000 documents, and again there's a network issue. It does happen. Maybe the internet falls away. And you migrated 500 documents, so good luck finding out which 500 actually did move. So if you are in a situation like this, let's start at least with small batches, or use a third-party tool. I'll let you fill in which ones you can use. This actually is a cool option. You can set default metadata on a folder. I will show you this in the demo. So I'll leave this for now, but it's actually a cool option, I have to admit. But I do think folders are a big no-no, because mainly 4 reasons. One of these is unfriendly navigation. Again, you will see this in demo, but we all know the breadcrumb in SharePoint. What happens is, especially if you have like at least a 4-layer folder structure, if you're in the 3rd layer, you already cannot see what the first layer, what's there. So that's, yeah, it's not really, you kind of lose sight at the whole structure and the content. Well, then we have the duplication of documents. Let's say you have a project document library. You have one folder that's called Phase 1, another folder is called Phase 2. And John Doe uploads the proposal in the first folder, Phase 1, and Jane Doe uploads exactly the same document in the other folder. The system doesn't say, hey, wait a minute, this file has already been uploaded in another folder. So you get the situation is that nobody really knows what is the latest document, what document am I supposed to use, document in folder A or folder B. And it does kind of undermine your search results because especially if you start to use columns, custom columns, you can use this in the refinement panel. And it makes finding your the search results a lot easier. It doesn't work with folders though. And last but not least, let's say you do decide to start out with folders first. It's going to be very time consuming to switch to the metadata model. It's not going to be easy, I tell you that. So if you do decide to take down that path, good luck. But keep in mind it can be very time consuming. But I do think within SkyDrive Pro it's totally cool to use folders because it's kind of like your own personal space. I even use folders there, to collaborate with people on a daily basis. And if you do, you do share documents there with people. I believe in the new version you have now a view called Shared With Me, where you can easily see the documents that are shared with you. So do you want to use folders there? Great, no problem at all. Do you want to use metadata? Fine, just go ahead. This is your personal environment. So let's start with the first demo. So I got out of this presentation. Let me open up my demo environment. Well, what I do here, I will create a new, no, I will use this, sorry. I'll go to the document library here. And you see 3 folders here. So let me first show you an example of the, first I'm going to show you the how you work with setting default metadata at a column. I already have here a column here, so let me see if this is the right one. Technology. Yeah, so I created a custom column called Technology with the choice is SharePoint, Link, or Exchange. So let me go back to this folder. So what I want here, I have this folder here called Presentations, Digital Workplace, and SharePoint 2013 and Link 2013. So what I want is that every document that's been uploaded in this folder gets the metadata SharePoint within the Technology column, and likewise for Link. So how do I do that? I go to Library, Library Settings, and you have the option column default value settings. Well, and here you have those 2 folders. You can see the green, I think it's a green wheel here, and you see that because I've already tried this out, of course, as preparation for this webinar, because normally you wouldn't see this at all. So what you already do here, let me click on here. Here you can say what is the default value of all the columns that are added, all the documents are added into this folder. I already set it on Link, so let me click on OK. And the same for SharePoint. click on technology, and I say I want to use I want to choose SharePoint. Click OK. Now I go back to the document library. This one, presentations, digital workplace, SharePoint 2013. And what I'll do now, because I'm using folders, I can use the Explorer view. So click on Open with Explorer. I'm having some issues sometimes with this, so I hope it works immediately. It probably won't. It's restarting up. So I'll start up my own Explorer as well. Yeah, that's what I thought. So what I do now, I have to do a hard refresh, and then it should work again. Library, Open with Explorer. No, do it again. And the magic happens. No idea why, but it does work. So let me open up the other one. And let me just move a couple of documents, move it here. Right, so you see this is really easy to use. And even the uploading goes fast. Close this one. And yeah, come on. Almost done. Yep. Do a refresh. And here you see all these files automatically got the metadata SharePoint. So that's a cool feature. If you do decide to use folders, you should look into using this feature. It's pretty cool. What you also see here is that what I meant with unfriendly navigation, because I cannot see up digital workplace. Because if I go here, you see this called presentations. But if I click here again, you kind of, yeah, go here. Yeah, you kind of lose what's above here. So you kind of lose an overview of the library with all its documents. Back to the presentation. Okay, well, this is where I think custom metadata views are pretty awesome because you have a lot more flexibility. You can create a column, and a column can have a certain type. It can be a choice column or a date column or even a number. It automatically turns into a percentage. So you have a lot of options. It's a lot more flexible. Then you can improve your search results. Let's say you have a project portal, and you have project document libraries, and there's always a side column you use called project face. You can set that side column as a managed property, and the managed property you can use into your search refinement panel. I believe I have a slide with a couple of options you need to tick for this, so I'll get back to this in a second. And then this is great because a lot of end users, especially, they've been working with Excel for many, many years, and then you have the option to filter your content. And well, this also works within document libraries. You can go over a column and just select, I want to see all the documents created by John Doe, or all the documents project phase A or B. Well, I'll show you this later in the demo as well. And then it's one of my favorite features, the group by. So you're able to group all your columns at a base at group all your documents based at a column. So for example, that project phase column. So you can every document that you upload, you say this is project phase 1 or project phase 2 or 3, and you click on the library, on the document library, and you see all the documents in one overview, but then with the right metadata attached. You don't have to click through like a deep folder structure. Actually, here's the slide I meant. Especially in 2013, I believe every side column is at least set as a managed property automatically. And this is what you have. Only a SharePoint administrator can do this, by the way. Check if the side column is a managed property, and then you have to tick that it's searchable, retrievable, and especially with the refinement panel, you have to say that yes, it's active. And then you can use it to filter through search results a lot faster. It's pretty cool. I really advise to use that. Let's go into a demo again. Okay, let's go back to the site. Yep, here we go. Okay, well, let's create a new document library. So add an app, document library, and let's say in this case, sales department asked us to help them configure something in SharePoint where they can store their meeting documents, because they've been doing this on file shares for years, and they want to start this like new thing they heard of that's called SharePoint. So what we do now, we create a new document library called Sales Meeting Documents. Click on Create, and click here. And what I do now, I'm going to upload 4 documents. Not this one though, this one. I have here my meeting minutes and my agenda. So I'll move these here. And what you see now, they've now been added here, but eventually this will get kind of, it's going to be harder to find documents. With 4 documents, it's fine. You can still, yeah, it's easy to read. But if there are 50 or 100 here, it's going to be harder to find the meeting minutes of a certain meeting date, or maybe finding all the minutes of all the meetings. So then what you have to do is, this is how you create a new column for this. You go to library, click on create column. Well, the first column we'll create is called day of the meeting. And here you see all the options you have with creating a column. So this is what I mean with flexibility. So here, oh, no, I won't do choice, that's the next one. Here we choose date and time. I always advise to set it as required, because what would happen is people can upload a document and maybe accidentally forget to assign this metadata. So then you do create this awesome metadata system, but it's not working because people, they're not required to fill in when uploading a document. So set this as yes. I'll leave this all here, this is fine. Click on OK. Okay, now we have an extra column where we can set the day of the meeting. So we create another column where people can choose what kind of type of document it is. So of category. So what kind of category belongs this to? Here we choose for choice. Again, don't forget to set it at yes, but required. And here we go for let's say agenda, minutes, and notes. Here you can choose how you want to display it. I kind of like the radio buttons though. If people are allowed to make, how you say it, to allow multiple selections, you pick this option. But don't forget to delete this one though, because now you set it required, but it has a default value. So maybe somebody uploads it and it's like, and just looks over the this part, and while it's not even an agenda, it can be a minute. Then again, the document doesn't have the right metadata. So I will always delete this. Click on OK. So what you see now is like these 2 fields are now empty. So in theory, what I should have to do is like edit the properties of each document and assign the day of the meeting and the category. Well, I hope you realize now that it's important to first structure your library before you start uploading the documents, because it will save you a lot of time. But you could use the quick edit view though. And this is the new datasheet view. Here I can select these 2 files. And I say this is from date. Well, it doesn't really matter. It says 11th. Yes, I can copy and paste. This kind of works like Excel though. And let me put this at a different one. Yeah, and here I can choose the categories. So this is an agenda. This is a minute. And I say stop editing this list. And now you see the metadata has been assigned. So you can do it afterwards. So it goes pretty quick, but do think about how you want to structure your document library first before you like create one and you just start uploading all your documents and you're like, oh, oops, I totally forgot to create some structure there. And here, if you go over this, I think most people probably know this, you can immediately say, okay, I want to show me all the documents of September 9, or 2nd of October, 11th of September, sorry, or the 2nd of October. You see, it goes pretty quick. It's pretty cool. So this is really easy to use for end users. Well, now I want to show you this cool group and by feature. I go to modify view because what you see here are the documents with assigned metadata that's just displayed in the all documents view, and you can create a new one if you want by clicking here or modify the existing one. So I click here, and here you can assign additional metadata if you want. If you do decide to use versioning, you can tick this column. If you want to see the file size, it's all up to you. Here you can decide the position. Well, in our case, we want to group all the documents based at day of the meeting, category. Click on OK. And what you see now, you get now like a nice overview, one overview of all the documents, and you can see the amount of documents are here. You can click at the category. This works a lot better instead of going through a deep folder structure. What I do often do is remove these 2 columns from the view because you already see them here. What happens, especially nowadays, it's so easy to drag and drop files. So people will probably start doing that, and then you cannot use the quick edit view anymore because these 2 columns are gone. So just check and see your scenario, your project, or your customer if they would do that.
Interesting enough, there's a question about drag and drop. So sorry to interrupt, Jasper, but I thought it was appropriate.
Yeah, no worries.
If they drag and drop the meeting in, won't it ignore the field if the field is required?
Sorry, can you repeat it one more time?
Adding the metadata. So if you just drag and drop, it's going to ignore the fields required anyway. That's one of the problems. If you go new document, upload a document, it'll ask you to put the metadata in as required. But if you drag and drop, it totally ignores that.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So,
So
that's where the
yeah, it
go
is just one of the drawbacks. But if you do it
yeah.
that way, absolutely fine.
Yeah, Dave's totally correct. Like now, SharePoint is kind to ask you, like, okay, you can assign me the metadata. I can choose a date, category, I do check-in, and it's here. But if I now, for example, drag a couple documents, it's not going to ask it. So that's where the quick edit view is easy to use. But so keep that in mind at least that it can happen. So at least teach your end users. So fine to drag and drop, but don't forget to assign the metadata with the quick edit view. Yeah, I think that's it for this part. Let me go back to the presentation. Click here. Okay. Managed metadata data, I think it's pretty awesome. Got introduced in SharePoint 2010. And what's great for is you can finally like create a taxonomy within your SharePoint portal where you can structure. So you create a taxonomy. I'll show you an example on this slide. For example, this one. And these are all called terms. So yeah, you have a term called accounting and finance, and that has a sub level under it called accounting policies. And this is a great feature because you set up this whole taxonomy and allow people to choose metadata from this tree to connect it to certain documents. So it's pretty cool. You can also create a folksonomy, is how they call it. Kind of the configuration with managed metadata is that you have a group, and in that group you have a term set. For example, if I go one back, you have a term set maybe called accounting and finance, and there you create all your terms. So you can decide to keep a term set closed, so that means only the administrators are able to add terms, edit them, maybe delete them. But you can say, okay, open up this term set, and it means that end users, when assigning metadata to a document, they can say add new item, that's how it's called. I will always show you this in a demo. And in that way, they're allowed to add new terms. It can be tricky, though, because people can maybe accidentally duplicate a term, and it will say it if it's exactly spelled the same, but maybe it's a term that's meant the same. If you do start to use this option, please assign one or more people to at least monitor it, so they can notice, like, okay, wait a minute, this term is created, but we actually already have one. And in that case, you can merge the terms. I will always show you this in the demo. So you have an option. How you say that? You have a solution for it, but don't forget about it. And through this, you just create consistent user metadata because you define it at a higher level, and you say, okay, use this tree here, and you use this tree there. So you are more in charge of what metadata is used. And this is kind of cool because you saw the example. You probably think like, okay, this is like there are a lot of terms there. So how is somebody going to find the one they're looking for? Well, actually, when you start typing, the system will give you a suggestion. So that's pretty handy. Or you click on a symbol and you can find the correct term there. So the system, SharePoint, does help you. There are a couple of disadvantages, and I think there are a couple more at more from an architectural point of view. I'm not going to discuss this now, but I more want to look at it from an end user or business user's perspective. One of it is that I think the permission structure is absolutely worthless from a governance point of view. As I mentioned before, you have your groups, and within the groups you have the term sets. You would expect that you can have like multiple term sets and one term set you use in one portal, one on one side collection. You would expect to say, okay, Jane and John Doe, and they're the administrators of term set A, and John and Jane Smith, they're the administrators of term set B. Well, that's not going to work because I think there's a field called owner. But it doesn't. It's just more as it's actually the metadata of that term set. You just see who the owner is, but that doesn't mean they're the only people allowed to edit that term set. You actually have to give people permissions at the group level, so that's pretty tricky because that means people can also kind of mess up term sets and they shouldn't even be in. So again, keep that in mind when you start working with this feature. So yeah, it's interesting. Pretty annoying though. Let's be honest. I showed you the quick edit view. But this doesn't work with managed metadata columns in 2010. So that's really annoying because you saw it before. If I upload one document, the SharePoint says, okay, thanks for uploading a document. What is the metadata? Well, let's say you upload 10 documents, 20 documents. It doesn't ask that, and you cannot edit the metadata in the datasheet view. So that's really annoying. So what I often recommend is, because metadata is a great feature though, let's say you are migrating a lot of documents, change the default value of that managed metadata column, for example, research, and upload all the research documents, and then maybe you have to upload all the communication proposal documents, change that default value, and upload those 20 documents until you're done. Otherwise, you do have to edit every document separately. Well, this is not the case anymore in 2013. This actually works now, so that's pretty cool. So it could be another reason to migrate to 2013. This is what I found out the other day. You can export data from a list or a document library to Excel. What happens is if you do this with managed metadata columns, it adds a couple of numbers, sometimes an ID. So then in Excel you have to do a find and replace to get it out. So keep that in mind. It's like a minor issue. But you could be like, well, what are all these IDs I'm seeing here? So it just copies often the ID of the term. Okay, well, let's see this in a demo. I'm going back to the site. Let me click here. How are we on time? Okay, good. I think we're on schedule.
Good.
Yeah. What I'm going to do, I'm going to create another document library. So click here. I'll call it research. I'll call it research, and let me see. What I'm doing, I want to connect this to the taxonomy I built. So what I'm doing, I'm going to create a new column. And I'm going to call it, let's see, just call it category. And here we have the manage metadata option. So I'll click on here, and I go down. Again, don't forget the required option. Go down, go down, go down. And here you have and these are the groups I talked about. So here we have the Contoso group and a term set called research. Click on here. You can actually start from a lower level. You don't always have to start your column at the term set. You can also say, okay, I start here, and that means you can only assign these 3 options as metadata. So start here, research, and I will show this in a second, but it's already open up, so this can be turned into a taxonomy. So then this option should be a yes. If nobody's allowed to add any terms, this should be a no. And here you have the default option. If you click on OK. So now here we have category. So I'll upload first one document. Click here, upload existing file. I'll just use this one. Click on OK. And here, if you have the category, so if I start typing, yeah, so here it gives you suggestions. I'm like, okay, yes, I'm looking for the term business technology. If I click on here, I actually see the whole taxonomy. So if let's say I want to add another term here, I have here the option add new item. So maybe I say, okay, I want to add something called communication graphics. And while there's actually, maybe it resembles this one, and maybe I overlooked it. So I already added this, click on OK, do check-in. Yeah, and now it edited. So let's say I upload multiple documents. I'll show you how it works with the quick edit view. Doesn't really matter, just pick these 4. Let's just replace it, it's fine. Yeah, okay, all right, all checked out. So now if I click edit, you finally can edit manage metadata in the quick edit view. So what I can do, I can start typing again, click on OK, or I can just like, yeah, copy and paste here. Or another cool option is I select the 2 fields I want to add a value, and I say add these terms to all selected fields. Start typing C, click on OK. So this is really cool. Click on OK. Okay, well, now I can also check them all in. Check in. Okay, and I'm ready to go. Yeah, so where do you configure this? It's only for site administrators or people who are assigned the appropriate permissions to the group. Go to site settings. Here we have term store management. Move this up a little bit. Here for Contoso. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, cool. Research, and here you have the option closed or open, so you can cite yourself. And here we have this computer sciences. I think I just added the communication graphics. So let's say I'm noticing this, like, hey, this is actually the same term that's already here that mean the same thing. I can click here and I say merge terms. And I go to the one I want to merge it with, is this one. Click OK. Yeah. Okay. Okay, well, it's not something like this will always happen. So let's say try it one more time with a different one. Try with this one. Okay, well, it's not working. It's fine. We'll figure it out later. But what happens is, if I do merge it, the file that has that term, let's go to it. What's this one? Research. It will actually change it for by itself. I think there's a time job it's a time job running in the background that will change the term into the one you merged it with. So at least, if you do decide to use a Volkswagen, at least keep an eye on it. Let's continue quickly because I do still want to show you another awesome feature. That's actually called the document set. And I do have to admit, I didn't really pay attention to these before I started working at the asset manager though. Because I thought, like, well, it looks like a folder, so it probably is a folder, so why would I use it? Well, this is actually a positive thing, because especially for people new to SharePoint, they see it. It's like, oh, this is a folder I've been working with for many years, but it's actually a lot more. One part of it is that you have a welcome page, so you can provide a bit more information for all the documents within that document set. So you can give a description, but you can also edit the page, and you can add additional web parts. For example, content editor web part where you add a picture, or maybe a newsfeed. These are a couple of options. There is a downside to it I will discuss in a moment. And this is really cool. And you store your document sets in a document library, and the document library can have metadata, but within the document set you can have different metadata and a unique view. So I'll show you this in the demo as well, but this is really handy because you have your first presentation layer, right? The document library's document sets, then you click on a document set and you have a different presentation layer. And because a document set is actually a content type, you can also create a workflow for it. I'm not going to show this in this session though. There are a couple of minor issues with document sets. I did have to look for a couple though. One is, this is kind of a silly story, because I was like, okay, cool, we have this welcome page. I'm going to make an awesome welcome page for this demo I'm doing. So I created a document set. I added a page. I added like a big picture. I think if everybody knows the Contoso demo from Microsoft, I created a picture from Pavel, and I linked it to his profile, and I called it Account Manager. So people were like, okay, this is like the document set, we're the Account Manager. And if I want to leave a message, just click on this picture and leave a message. And I was like, okay, let's include something otherwise, something what's also cool. So, oh, let's do the newsfeed. Okay, well, let's set it up. I'm like, oh, this is great. I'm going to show you this with the webinar I'm doing. And then I think like the other day, I just clicked on a different document set, and it was the same. I'm like, how can it be the same? I just changed it to the other one. So also a little bit stupid of myself, but the welcome page is just uniform to the content type it's based at. So please keep that in mind. When you do change the welcome page, it's going to be the same for all the document sets based at that content type. You cannot check in or check out a document set. Of course, you can do it for the files within the document set. And apparently there's some issues with record management. I have no experience with this, to be honest, but I saw multiple blogs on the internet about this. So if you decide to use record management with document set, please check it out first. Okay, let's quickly dive into the demo. Let's go here. Okay, well, I already created this document library, document sets. Well, this is like a document library where you're going to store fonts. So what you see here, I created a column called type of font, and here you see the document set. So here you see it kind of looks like a folder, so it's pretty easy. So I come here as an end user, I'm like, okay, yeah, I want to, I'm actually going to create a new one for a worldwide font. Click here, and here you see document set. And what I do here, I'm going to give it a name, and I'm going to give it a description, and I'm kind of like sneaky copy and paste. Yep. So you can give a description here about all the documents are stored here, and then I'm going to say like, okay, this is a donation font. Click on save, and it's working on it. Yeah. Well, and here you see the description I enter, so it's pretty cool. So you see, like, this is like a lot more than a folder because it has its own look and feel, and it's nice because you see the metadata you gave it, donations, and you can like upload files here the same way we did. So just click on new, browse, and It doesn't really matter, just pick a document. And what you see here is that now you get different metadata, so it doesn't ask for the type of font anymore, but now it asks, it still does it here though, I'll show you in a second why, but it also has a column called category we didn't have when I created the document set. And so this is pretty cool because here you can just connect it to a managed metadata column. So this is like the document set in combination with the managed metadata is great for dossier scenarios, maybe project scenarios. Click on save. Now the document is edited here. You do have the option to edit this page. So you just click here on page, do edit. And here you see you can add web parts. But do keep in mind though, if you do this for this one, you saw 2 other document sets, they will have the same welcome page after all the changes I made here. Let's click on stop editing. Document set has a couple of features though. You can access them by going to the library settings. Here you have the document set. And here you have document set settings. Well, let's open it up. You can use actually a content type within a document set. So by default this document, but you can also create your own document content type and add it here. So it means from within this document set I can create documents based at that content type. If you see here, you cannot remove it until you've deleted it here and then add your new one. So you click on delete. Now I can remove it here. Now I can say doesn't really matter. Let's say form, and now I can set add new default content type, and this should be your own content type, and then it's available from within the document set. Here you see, this is the reason why you saw when I added a document type of font is because you share these columns. So you can create new columns at the document library level, for example, offer, and then offer and type of font are also immediately assigned as metadata to that document. So that can also improve your search results. You can also define which of these columns I only have type of font, but if I have more, maybe offer which ones you want to show at the welcome page. And this is pretty cool. By default, you get the old documents view, but I created my own. The document set view. Click on OK, and then it's done. So if you work with document set, don't forget to use create a custom view for it. So this is great. I really fell in love with I fell in love with document sets while working at asset management because it really helped people from the transition from file shares to document libraries, because especially because mostly of the asset managers, the asset people in the company were mostly brokers, and they work with a lot of customer files, kind of dossiers. So this worked perfectly for them. First, we used the metadata and the types of document sets, and then within what we did, we just replaced the category with their folder structure. Really telling you, it can make a world of difference. So I see I have 12 more minutes, so let me look at the slide. I'll just make it brief. I'll just go through the, first I will talk a little bit shortly, one short slide about the other advantages with document libraries and SharePoint. It's the Office web apps, especially in 2013, it's pretty cool. You can create new Office documents from within the browser and immediately store them in the document library. Again, for some reason, it doesn't ask for the metadata, so keep that in mind. But Office web apps are great because you don't need an Office client to view the documents or create new ones, and it's also a lot faster. And of course, you have workflows, so you can connect workflows to the document libraries where the documents are stored, maybe to implement more of your business processes. Well, I'm fine. I can do this in 5 minutes. So I work for this asset manager. I told you before. I supported the internet company, the internet team responsible for the SharePoint Online Internet. They actually built the internet because they wanted to stimulate collaboration. Because information was spread out over a lot of locations. So file shares, an old internet, people's desktops, other systems. They wanted to centralize this, so that's what team sites are great for, because it's a central location. You can store information about the department, and you can store the department documents. Another important one was take control in own hands, especially as asset manager pay a lot of money to their IT supplier for maintaining file shares and other sites. What you do now, you give control to a couple of site owners, and they change the content, they upload the documents, they can restore documents. So it saves up a lot of money as well. And of course, that is why I'm also doing this webinar. One big important aspect of it was the document management features. And then mostly because of the versioning, because they had a lot of documents stored from 0.1 until 2.20. the metadata instead of the folder structure, and they wanted to use templates within their document libraries. So you can, what you saw in the example, if you go to document library, click on new, the default you see the Word document there, but you can also add your own templates there, especially easy if you work with project document libraries. And maybe, for example, add a functional design as a template, a technical design, or maybe a proposal. So what we did, we gave a training to often to site owners. We did it in an hour. I know not enough time, but it's the only time we mostly got available with these people. Taught them the basics, and we also taught them how to work with documents. So create a document library and work with the custom metadata. Because in the example I showed you, with create a column, a choice column, and then group by. And then we said, well, here's your manual. Please contact us if you are in trouble or you need more advice. Now, of course, this doesn't work because, first of all, people don't really have a lot of time because this mostly was added on top of their daily activities. Yeah, and people still have a lot of problems with the concept of metadata versus folders. So what we did, we kind of chose a new approach. We try to keep it simple. So start with the meeting documents, for example, of your team documents, and don't make too many advanced document libraries with a lot of maybe just stay out of the taxonomy for a while. Don't use managed metadata. Let people get used to document libraries. So that's where like meeting documents are, it sounds like a silly small thing, but it really does help. And a lot of people appreciate it as well, because what they started to do, instead of sending meeting documents as an attachment in an email, they actually send a link to the team site, and that way you also draw people to the team site. And I use that document set and managed metadata example for a couple of teams, especially the ones who work with a lot of dossiers. Well, I think I kind of nailed it within the time. So if you have an... Yeah, I did.
You did well. And
yeah,
we got a lot of questions.
Okay, good. Yeah, so, yeah. Well, before we dive into that, if you do have any questions, you can always contact me. If you can contact me on Twitter, LinkedIn. I'm gonna post this presentation later on SlideShare probably tomorrow. So I used to be able to make it downloadable on SlideShare. I don't think that's possible anymore. So if you do want this presentation and you cannot download it from SlideShare, just send me an email. That's it. Ready for questions.
Okay. Any limitations as to how many items in a library?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, there are hard limitations from SharePoint. I don't know that number out of my head. I think there's like probably at TechNet you have like the limitations for amount of site collections and amount of sites in site collection. I think there's also part of it how many how many documents you can store in a document library. There is also another. Yeah, Dave.
No, that's right. Go.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and there is a limitation though, the amount of items you can see in one view. I don't remember the name for it, but I think they introduced it to I don't know, maintain processor power or something. I don't remember the name for it though. So that you have a limitation amount of documents you can store. I just don't know the number out of my head though. Just look on TechNet. I think you should look for SharePoint 2013 limitations.
Yeah.
And you'll get a nice document.
Okay. Are users able to add new items if they are not term store administrators?
Yeah. Yeah, that's possible.
That was easy.
Yeah. Yeah. Good.
If you use
more of those, or?
Yeah, no, there's a few of those. Hang on, we just another one pop in. 2,000 in a view for 2010 is the answer. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. They all get mixed up because they come in different orders, so that's why I'm hesitating slightly.
Oh, no worries, no worries.
Does SharePoint 2013 allow you to group document library views by a managed metadata field when you allow it to have multiple items?
That's a great question. I remember that's not possible though in 2010. So let me quickly go to it because we have it here anyway.
This is 13. Does SharePoint 2013 allow you to group document views?
Yeah. So let me quickly find it out. Type of document. Allow multiple values. Because it doesn't work when you make a choice column and you set it at multiple selections, you cannot group on it. Use the group by feature. Yeah, taxonomy, and then quickly modify the view. Yeah. Come on, nice. Group by. What's the category? I see now it's gone, so that still doesn't it doesn't work. Okay.
Okay.
Too bad.
Hang on. Nigel Price. Hi, Nigel. Management metadata fields are slow in large lists, approximately 2,000 items in the SharePoint line. I think that's a statement rather than a question. So thank you for that. SharePoint, here we go. I knew Nigel would come good. SharePoint 2013, limits and boundaries, has all the limits in it.
Yeah, that's the document, yeah.
Here we go. Sorry about this. There's a lot of questions.
You have 5 more minutes, so...
Here we go. Here's a biggie. What are some strategies for preventing library sprawl where users might have folders untagged or miscellaneous tagged documents? It seems to happen when the users don't know what custom column categories they want when they create the libraries.
Okay. Can you repeat it one more time?
What are some strategies for preventing library sprawl where users might have folders untagged or miscellaneous tagged documents? It seems to happen when the users don't know what custom column categories they want when they create the library.
So instead of that, they create folders?
Yeah, it's like library sprawl. You just get it's like a dump, huge amount.
Oh, they create multiple libraries.
Yeah.
Or no?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I think the magic word is governance, but again, it sounds easier than it is, of course.
Well, the interesting thing is on the 2nd of October, I'm doing a webinar with Anne Clay on the subject of governance, so that may well help. So.
That is something you need to make rules about. Again, it sounds a lot easier than it is because we also have rules in society, and not a lot of people listen to those rules. But then I think it comes down to good end user training, site user training, and governance, and just try to monitor it. And if you do see it happen, just talk with the people and ask. Don't get angry, but just ask like, why did you do it? And they often don't know. It's because they don't know certain features exist or. So yeah, that would be my advice, at least. So I hope it's a bit helpful, though.
Okay, no worries. I think in order to create a view to group the items by that field, you have to do it in SharePoint Designer. Modifying the view on SharePoint, group by any field, then go to SharePoint Designer, edit the ASPX view, and change the group by tag with the desired field. So thank you for that.
Yeah, well, I'm one of those people who cannot work without the design view, so.
Well, yeah. Know your limitations. Like you should have mentioned the error message. Hang on.
It's like a percentage trick, right? Just try to ignore it instead of reading it. And
yeah, well, I think everyone does that, don't they? So with SharePoint 2013, is it possible to bulk edit manage metadata columns using Quick View?
Yeah, that's what I did, right?
Yep.
Yeah, you can. This doesn't work in 2010, but you can now do that in 2013. So you can you can just copy and paste it like in Excel, or just select all the fields you want to add a certain value to, and just select it. It works perfectly now.
Okay. Can you similarly tag metadata to video files?
Good question. I haven't tried it. No.
I believe you can.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, it's just the file.
It's the file. So it's file, add a column, and you can tag it.
Yeah, same principle. Yeah.
Yeah. Jasper didn't read the error message it gave while merging the terms in the taxonomy. There you go. That's one. Jasper should also mention the inheritance of metadata of document sets for the uploaded documents as a killer feature. So, Tom, thank you for that.
Yeah, I think I mentioned it briefly. I didn't emphasize it enough, but that is true. Yeah, that is a great feature because they automatically inherit that the metadata, and it also improves your search results as well. So
yeah, and thank you.
Thanks for that. Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks for that, and thank you, Melanie Nelson, for saying yes, you can meta tag video. So thank you. Can you create a document set inside a document? Hang on. Can you create a document set inside a document set?
uh, I'm not sure though. I know now you can create folders within a document set. It wasn't possible in 2010.
Yeah.
I haven't tried that, but yeah, I
Okay.
don't know why you want to do that, but
okay, I've got another one. So Ben said, if you use folders with auto metadata and set your views to flat, would that work? That was when you were dragging and dropping. Oh, here you go. Thank you, Eric. You cannot create document sets inside of document sets, sadly.
Yeah,
So
I'm not sure.
Oh, and Savet as well. Thank you. No doc-set in doc-set. Sort of makes sense.
Pretty good group tonight, Dave.
Yeah, these are good.
I can just lean back. You can just like say what somebody else is.
That's great. That's
great.
Yeah, it's cool.
Group.
It's community. See, that's the thing. It works.
Yeah. It's,
so
you can do another one next week, something like this.
Yeah. So where are we? Then drag and drops probably would work, yes. But if you use folders, so we're talking about drag and drop, and Ben said, but if you use folders with auto metadata and set your view to be flat, would that work? You know, where you drag and drop?
Oh, yeah. You have an option in the view where you can just cancel out all the folders. Oh, that's a great question. I'll try that later. That's a great question. Okay, I'm assuming it's not going to work though, but
get in touch with Jasper. And Bob says
no
doc set default content is very handy also.
Yep.
So, and that.
Yeah, it's a great feature document sets. I'm really
that
happy. Yeah.
is the end of the questions. So
okay.
we got that. So thank you very much. Oh, hang on. Oh, there you go. One for you mainly. Hey, Toby. Very nice. Thank you, Jasper and David. Well, from my point of view, it's a pleasure. Jasper. Bob said thank you, and Pradeep. Thank you. Loads of people now. Thanks for the presentation. Everyone's jumping in now and going, thank you. So,
well, it makes me, well, it's going to be a good night's sleep for me tonight with a big smile on my face.
No, you did a great job. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. No problem at all. Let's do a pleasure again.
Here we go. So I'll just flick back over to that one and just do the last slide. That's not the last slide. That was going to be the last. There we go. So, as everyone says, thank you very much, Jasper. Absolutely awesome, as always. The next webinar is with the irrepressible Christina Wheeler, and it's working with content search web part in SharePoint 2013, and that's on the 18th of September, so I hope people will come and join us. And as I say, thank you very much, Jasper. The recording will be available as soon as possible as well. I'm going to start encoding it either tonight or tomorrow. And Sean sends a link as well. Here's the link for the software boundaries and limits. It is on the Techno site. So thank you very much, Sean. And thanks to everyone. And at that point, we'll stop. So thanks, Jasper. Thanks for everyone for turning up. And we'll do it again real soon. Well, 2 weeks. Thank you.